Go ahead and call the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners meeting for June 16th to order. I'd like to welcome everyone here. We've got a full room tonight. We've got a lot of recognitions we're going to do, and I know it's a public forum night as well. So I'd like to thank everyone for being here and being part of your government at work. As we get started, I'd like to ask Commissioner Faircloth to bring us the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let's stand as we honor God and country, please. Heavenly Father, once again, we come into your presence humbly and appreciatively representing those citizens of our county. We ask that decisions that we make be acceptable in your sight and in the sight of those citizens. In your name we pray. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And before we move forward, I also want to recognize, I believe we have Representative Diane Wheatley with us tonight, North Carolina representative. She was somewhere. There she is. Thank you, ma'am, for being here, and thanks for all the work you're doing in Raleigh right now on our behalf. I don't see any other elected officials, or I'm going to get in trouble. I'm sure one of them will text me if I do. At this time, we'll go ahead and move to recognitions. The first group of recognitions we would like to look at or honor tonight is the Governor's Volunteer Service Award recipients. So I'm going to read these. If you'll come forward, we've got a few special individuals that are here as part of the Volunteer Service Awards tonight. I'd just like to recognize them as well. If they will, after I recognize your names, if you'll go ahead and move forward to the front so that we can recognize you and get a great picture and just say thank you. Wanda Smith from the American Red Cross, assigned to Womack Army Hospital. And she has several guests that I want to highlight as well. Colonel Stephanie Mont, Commander, Womack Army Medical Center. Lieutenant Colonel Casey McKenna, Deputy Commander, Womack Army Medical Center. Lauren Boland, Director, NC Service to the Armed Forces Red Cross. Oh. And Phil Harris. I don't know why they wrote it that way, Phil. Sorry about that. And I have one more as part of Ms. Smith's group. Commander Edward Beard, VFW State Commander, recently State Commander. And then we'd like to I'm going to let them, if I can let Ms. Smith's guests go ahead and sit back down, and then I'm going to recognize we got certificate, okay. Well, I'm going to have Ms. Smith stay up. And if I can ask Commissioner Faircloth to join the recipients at the podium, he can hand out the certificates. I'd like to go ahead and announce the recipients. Mr. Steve Blanchard from the United Way of Cumberland County. Rhonda Bright from Rhonda's Rainbow Family of Dance. Vito Amarcio from American Red Cross. Chris Brooks from American Red Cross. Nellie Manova, Fayetteville Urban Ministry, Fizzy Friends, Employment Source in United Way of Cumberland County. Reverend Dr. Jamal Johnson, National Baptist Association, Mount Sinai Missionary Baptist Church, Broadwell Seabrook Community, and Omega Phi Psi Fraternity. Tia Bruce from Employment Source. Margaret Grantonic from American Red Cross. And Stephen Pippinger from American Red Cross. I got Wanda was the first one. Ms. Smith, you're still up there, right? Yep, I see you. I see you. All right, Commissioner Fairclough, if you want to hand those out or say a couple words and then get your picture.
Well, you can tell a lot about people by what they celebrate, and we celebrate some folks here tonight, and we didn't rehearse this, so I'm just going to ask you when I call your name to just step right over here and let me hand you your certificate and a pen from the county, please. Vito Amoroso? That's you? Okay. I guess we're behind the podium, so.
You want to step forward?
Okay. Steve Blanchard, who I know very well for many years. How you doing? And Rhonda Bright. Chris Brooks. Margaret Grantoni. Get it right. Get it right. You know, these are pretty nice certificates, really. And Nellie Manova. And Dr. Jamal Johnson. Stephen Peppinger. And Wanda Smith. Freya Bruce. I'll be happy.
Again, congratulations to all the recipients tonight. It goes to show that our community truly is about giving back to a community, volunteering your time when it's recognized by the governor of our state. So to each and every one of you, thank you for all you do for our community and all you do for our state. Thank you. We will now recognize the 2025 Citizens Academy class. Previously, the members of the class have already received their, I'm going to let everybody give a second to let everybody kind of filter around here. It's okay. Y'all take your time. We'll stand at ease for a second. See, I knew I'd get one of the colonels to turn around.
Yeah, you can.
Good evening.
I know, I didn't know this is new.
Hey. Hello, beautiful.
I was looking at the screen.
I'm going to get and speak to you tonight. I will hit you, girl. I don't know how I got so late. That's okay. I had the time wrong. Thank you. You're welcome. I said, oh, you're smart and articulate. I was teasing.
Thank you again for you all coming out. At this time, if we can get order, if we can, we're going to try to move forward while everybody's exiting. If we can go ahead and come back to order in the audience, we will go ahead and move forward with the recognition of the 2025 Citizens Academy. They have previously been recognized and have gotten their certificates, but we wanted to take a moment tonight at our meeting to recognize them. I'll read their names, or actually, if you were part of the Cumberland County Citizens Academy class of 2025, if you want to stand in place right now, that would be great. Y'all are already standing over there. Just want to take a moment to recognize the 2025 Citizens Academy graduates who are with us tonight. Thank you for your commitment to learning more about government, county government. This academy gives residents an inside look at how our departments operate and how services are delivered. This is our 13th class. We've been doing this for that long, since 2012. The program continues to provide a meaningful way to connect citizens with county leadership and strengthen civic engagement. We encourage all graduates to stay involved, consider applying for one of our boards or committees, and help shape the future of Cumberland County. Let me go ahead. We have several of you here. I'm going to go ahead and recognize you. If you want to move forward, we'll grab your picture as we go through your name. So here's the class of 2025. Tiffany Brisson, Daphne Bunyam, Rodney Bunyam, apologize, Priscilla Camito, Stephanie Cox, Callista Hueves, Freddie De La Cruz, Venus De La Cruz, Brian De La Rocio, Man Ekerode, Edward Green, Carrie Jackson, Sasha Josephs, Kasha Knight, Teen Lee, Ishmael LeBron, Brittany Lee, Dion Pelt, Dr. Tracy Pelt, Joy Potts, Trey Richardson, Wendy Spruill, Denise Taylor, Kimberly Thomas, Brandon Teague, Jerry Trong, Dr. Wayne Waterford, Tiffany Watson, Crystal Watts, and Latasha Williams. And I'm going to ask Commissioner Patel if he'll join them at the podium. Again, congratulations to you all. And we want to see you on our boards and commissions list. Thank you so much. Our next recognition is the Cumberland County Ignite Internship Program. I'm going to call on Dominique Hall to bring up the certificates, and I'm going to call on Vice Chairwoman Jones to read the names, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Adams if he'll join Dominique Hall, Ms. Hall at the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On May 30th, 2025, Cumberland County launched the fourth cohort of the Ignite Internship Program. The cohort consists of college students, undergraduates, and also graduate and high school students. The county received a total of 250 applications and ultimately hired and onboarded 27 interns. The following interns are placed in various county departments to complete their 10-week summer internship. So again, we say congratulations to the following names. If you could please stand and go towards the left and the right so that you could be up here to get your picture taken. Jackson Bryant in Community Development. And then also Amani, if you are here today, Amani Dejez Johnson from Community Development, Zane Sanders, Community Development, Olivia Hill, Employee Wellness, Angela Martinez, Engineering, Christian Dwight, Human Resources, Alizea Ellis, Human Resources, Chloe Makabai, Human Resources, Charlotte Whitman, Human Resources, Jamal Rogers, IT Services, Jack Sonente, IT Services, Alexandra Quintero Gignac, Internal Services, Hobbs Jenkins, Justice Services, Addery Owens, Justice Services, Jalay Rourke, Justice Services, Danielle Dodson, Planning, Haley Fazilon, Public Health, Brianna Jackson, Public Information Office, Janine Campbell, Public Library, Nehemiah L. Amana, Public Library, Chase Gibbs, Public Library, Atrina Johnson, Sheriff's Office. And then we have Michael Rice, Jr., Sheriff's Office, Giselle Young, Sheriff's Office, Gabrielle Quintero, Soil and Water, Andrew Forbes, Soil and Water, and Tawit McCrae, Soil and Water. We'd like to give these up as you get your certificates, and I will have Ms. Dominique read what one of the certificates says. Then you all could come in order and shake our hands. And again, we want to thank them. Let's give these young people a hand. Thank you for your service. And you can just walk back here after your picture, and we will congratulate you. Thank you for your service.
Congratulations. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Adams is getting an individual picture.
Oh. Is it? You're right. And you all could come back here as you finish, and then we can get a group picture, and we can shake your hand.
Just fill in.
Yeah, just fill in back here is fine.
Congratulations.
Mr. Adams, we're ready for the group picture. You can just keep filling in. Thank you.
There you go. Perfect. Except for this tall guy, I'll have to get in the back. You can be on the edge. Come up front. You're not you. You get on the edge. This all, you're going to have to get them organized.
Put him in front of Glenn.
No, don't put him in the middle. Get on the edge.
Put him in front of Commissioner Adams.
Yeah. Right there on the edge. All right, Miss Hall, if you can get them organized, or someone get them organized. Oh, no, you're all right.
Act like you've done this before, Commissioner.
Good?
Oh, come on, slide. Which one? Me? Left or right, sure did.
Thank y'all. Congratulations. Thank you.
I changed my hand.
Thank you.
All right. We are now going to move to the open public comment period. Excuse me, we're going to move to the public comment period. I'll call on the county manager to read the public comment policy.
Public comment policy procedures as follows. The public comment period shall last no more than 15 minutes. Time may be extended at the discretion of the board. Each speaker will have a maximum of 3 minutes and to make remarks until the 15-minute limit is attained. No time may be allotted to the speaker by another speaker. Speakers will be acknowledged by the board in the order in which their names appear upon the sign-up sheet. Speakers will address the board from the lantern and begin their remarks by stating their name and address. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers will not discuss matters regarding the candidacy of persons seeking public office. Speakers will be courteous in their language and presentation. Personal attacks will not be tolerated. Written comments and/or supporting documents may be left with the clerk to the board.
Thank you, County Manager. We'll go ahead now and open the public comment period. And Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers tonight?
We have 8 speakers.
All right. If you'll go ahead and call, we'll go ahead and give each speaker their full 3 minutes, and we will entertain the first speaker, Madam Clerk.
Dr. Hank Parfit.
My name is Hank Parfit. I reside at 112 Hay Street, above City Center Gallery and Books. Mr. Chairman and Board of Commissioners, a performing arts center has been planned in Fayetteville for over 10 years, always with a downtown location, always with huge popular support. It was called a cultural arts center when I met with consultants interviewing downtown stakeholders in 2013. On the county's current website, the first of your guiding principles states that the Crown Event Center should, quote, build upon existing economic development infrastructure and be a catalyst for existing and new businesses to flourish. Yeah, that's our downtown. Now bear in mind, this is about our whole community flourishing, not just downtown. Zoning laws allow such dense development downtown that the potential revenue stream from property taxes far exceeds that of commercial development in any other part of the county. That revenue can help finance things we all care about: education, clean water, and infrastructure needs, including ADA accessibility. The recent decision to cancel the project will, I fear, limit our progress and growth as a downtown, as a city, and as a county. My wife and I were on a road trip to Buffalo and Syracuse for Lafayette celebrations when you met in special session. On our trip, we visited many cities and towns, large and small, and without exception, those that felt vibrant and welcoming were the ones that had invested in their downtown. This weekend, I watched the video recording of the June 4th meeting. Yeah, all 3 hours, 52 minutes, and 24 seconds. Much like replays in football or basketball, you see things you might not see in real time. It was very interesting. I hope it is not too late to go back to the original plan of locating the event center downtown. But if that is not possible, I suppose the optimists among us can take some comfort in Commissioner Tyson's words in City View yesterday. I quote, "The land in front of the courthouse remains a key asset for downtown. My hope is to pursue a public-private partnership that can transform this space into something dynamic and beneficial for the community," end quote. This is my hope too, Mr. Tyson. It is also my hope this board will reach out to the Downtown Alliance, the Cool Spring Downtown District, and stakeholders like myself as you explore options for this key asset. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Parfit. Dr. Parfit. Madam Clerk, will you call the next speaker?
Elaine Kelly.
Good evening, Ms. Kelly.
Good evening, and thank you. My name's Elaine Kelly. I'm a lifelong resident of Cumberland County, the owner of Turner Lane, and a member of the Downtown Alliance, a voice for our downtown community. When my son was going to college, I couldn't encourage him to come back to Cumberland County because I didn't believe that our county had or would have in a near future a cultural and professional momentum that young people needed and that I wanted for him. But that opinion changed years ago when I sat in the Arts Council on Saturday mornings with other residents, local leaders, putting sticky notes on the wall with our hopes and dreams as we worked on an art and entertainment district that would lead to a performing arts center. These meetings formed the basis of the 2016 Arts and Entertainment District Report. That report included both city and county voices, including a lot of you commissioners who are sitting in this room. It was a shared vision, and it came before any ADA concerns. Its roots lie in a community-driven commitment to expand access to arts and enrich our civic life, not just to bring an aging facility up to code. When we heard about the project's pause, the Alliance instinctively operated on rumors and started a petition, not out of politics, because we believed that if you only knew how we felt, you would hear us. That's why the June 4th vote was so hard to watch. In just 2 short, silent months of collaboration, years of collaboration were swept aside. It wasn't only the decision, it was the lack of process. But still we believe we can rebuild that lost trust. Our next steps as an alliance will be to seek clarity of the facts and share what we learn. We hope to be included in what plans this board has for downtown, and we hope you feel the same about your downtown community. We ask for open communication moving forward. Our message to both city and county is the same: help us shape a future cultural hub for our community. Downtown is the heartbeat of any city. It's where identity is shaped, culture is shared, and communities come alive. When people arrive, whether investors, visitors, or families, they judge a place by its downtown. That's why investment in the city's core isn't just for a few downtown businesses. It is for our county's future and our region. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Madam Clerk, will you call the next speaker?
Molly Arnold.
Good evening, Ms. Arnold.
Good evening. I'm Molly Arnold. My address is 227 Hayes Street. I'm not from Fayetteville, but I'd like to say I got here as quick as I could. And for the last 28 years or so, I have spent more time, energy, and money downtown than I like to look back on. So thank you for having me take some of your time to speak about the less of any positive impact by choosing to renovate the existing Crown rather than building a new Crown downtown. I understand a commissioner was quoted recently as the only people wanting the Crown located downtown were people downtown that would benefit from it. Thus, I brought you a petition with about 400 names that I gathered solely at Rude Awakening. Other downtown businesses equally gathered names of people. When you look at those, you will see, hopefully, zip codes that encompass this whole county, not just downtown people. So as a frequent user of performance facilities, in fact, 2 weeks ago, I visited 5 different cities on 5 different nights to go to shows. Yeah, I'm not crazy. I think I can speak knowledgeably about the impact and how the county would have benefited and can still benefit financially via the food and beverage tax were the Crown located downtown. This is the 1% tax charged when you eat or drink out, collected by the restaurants, food trucks, bars, by the way, with no compensation back to the businesses for doing that work, providing the supplies to submit those reports, or the time it takes to get that money collected and in time. So when people come from out of town and they go to 301 for a show, what they see there cements everything negative they ever heard about Fayetteville. Like we do when we go out of town, they're looking to explore and eat before and after the show. There was nowhere to eat, drink, or stay the night on 301. They come and they leave without spending any money in our community. Imagine if instead they came to a show downtown where there are local restaurants, bars, and shops, where the streets are attractive, the plants abound, there are water fountains, light poles, and brick sidewalks that make walking enjoyable, where there are streets filled with art. They spend money here, and what a different impression they leave with and an incentive to return. While we do not currently have a hotel, the chances of one following the Crown development downtown were extremely favorable. I have sat on boards that have tried to get hotels downtown for quite a few years, and we were about this close this time. The money spent would have significantly increased our food and beverage hotel tax revenues, hopefully even enough to avoid another property tax increase without a reduction in county services. Voters weighed in on the location years ago. Studies all came to the same conclusion. The Crown should finally be downtown. The previous commissioners listened and took action. Looking at just the difference in a remodel versus a new facility is short-sighted and not seeing the big revenue picture. So I urge you to rethink and bring the Crown where it belongs, downtown.
Thank you, Ms. Arnold. Madam Clerk, please call the next speaker.
Lee Ward.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
My name is Lee Ward. My address is 1310 Goodview Avenue, and I serve on the Cumberland County Animal Services Advisory Board. I'm here because our Animal Services Department is in crisis, and immediate action is needed. Our Director, Elaine Smith, has submitted her resignation. Her leadership has been the backbone of this department, especially in the face of serious staffing and resource challenges. If we lose her now, the county's ability to provide vital animal care and control services will be severely impacted. We are currently facing a backlog of over 800 unresolved calls. That number alone illustrates how overburdened the department is, and without strong leadership and substantial support from this board, conditions will only get worse. Ms. Smith has made 4 essential recommendations, which I fully support. Number 1, immediately begin construction on the isolation building that was approved for the fiscal year 2025. 2, increase manpower and enforcement support, including forming a joint task force with law enforcement. 3, address the pay disparity between animal services officers and code enforcement officers. ASOs currently earn about $4,200 less per year, despite facing more dangerous and demanding conditions. 4, hire full-time customer service staff to improve public responsiveness and support field operations. In addition, I propose a county-funded public education campaign on responsible pet ownership. This would reduce preventable issues and lessen, hopefully, the strain on the system. Cumberland County is growing. Our population increases, so does the demand for animal care and control. The needs are clear. The solutions are on the table. Now is the time to act. Please help us retain Ms. Smith, support her recommendations, and ensure our animal services team has the tools they need to protect both the community and animals of Cumberland County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the next speaker.
Carmela McKellar.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I stand before you this evening as President and CEO of the Region 6 Project, Inc., a nonprofit located at 100 Hay Street. We occupy 3 floors containing more than 3,900 square feet. The physical space is called the Region 6 Project, Inc. Culture and Arts Center. We have 5 artist studios, a classroom, space for photography, videography, and podcasts, and a gallery that serves as a flex space. If you have had occasion to read the Fayetteville Press, Cynthia Wilson did a spotlight piece in the April-May issue, which will give you a good sense of who we are and what we seek to accomplish. Region 6 is a vision to see an arts district in Cumberland County that is representative of the full community of Cumberland County, a vision that is intentional in ensuring that there is a centering space where our community can gather, feel welcome, share our stories and our cultures. We believe that we are building what has not existed in Cumberland County before. Region 6 is doing a new thing. Economically, the optics of one of the largest and most beautiful buildings in Cumberland County in a place of prominence in our downtown sitting virtually empty is not an encouraging sight to visitors or investors. We now occupy 3 floors, adding 30% occupancy to a building that was approximately 25% occupancy post-COVID. In terms of community engagement, 1/3 of our board members are millennials, and we plan for more. We are building with an eye to continuity, sustainability, and greater outreach. Also recognizing that the vast majority of Cumberland County school children will not engage in a cultural arts experience that is reflective of those students. We are developing programming to create the experience for children that might otherwise never have it. We formally opened the doors to Region 6 on June 19th, 2025, with a small reception from 6 to 8, and cordially invite you to join us. I close stating that we have applied for a Cumberland County Community Impact Grant, but I come before you to ask how Region 6 can gain substantive financial support for our organization. I'm not asking you to build it. I'm not asking for $7.5 million. I'm not asking for $60 million or $145 million. We've built it. What we're asking is that you provide us with the support and show the importance of this kind of entity within our community. Region 6 has been created for a moment such as this, and we ask that you support us in this work as we go about doing it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Clerk, will you call the next speaker?
Sandy Reeves.
Good evening. I'll have to take my glasses off to look at you and put them back on to read. My name is Sandy Reeves. I'm a member of the Animal Services Board, and I'm here this evening on behalf of countless animals and people who rely on Cumberland County Animal Services every single day. I'm also here to speak on behalf of our hardworking animal control professionals. Based on nationwide data estimates, 66% of Cumberland County residents, about 244,000 families, own pets. 40% of them owning multiple animals. Unfortunately, we don't have the staff at Cumberland County Animal Services to support the county's needs. The staff has not been fully, the Cumberland County Animal Services has not been fully staffed in 7 years. But on average, they have to respond to all these different pets in our community, and they have to cover about 652 square miles of space with 3 animal control officers or animal services officers. Our officers are not just playing with puppies all day. They're not just picking up strays. In fact, that's the least of what they do. They're responding to dangerous dog attacks, rescuing abused animals, investigating cruelty, and worst of all, they're euthanizing perfectly healthy animals simply because we don't have the space and facilities to care for them. These officers work in the heat, in the cold, during storms, holidays. They don't shut down. They always have a service they have to provide. Their job is emotional, physically demanding, and often thankless. They have to deal with a very frustrated public, and sometimes in the most dangerous parts of town. According to a study by the Journal of Preventive Medicine, the suicide rate among animal welfare workers is almost 5 times the national suicide rate. It's a very stressful occupation. Imagine trying to enforce animal cruelty laws, conduct inspections, care for hundreds of animals, and respond to emergencies without the staff and without a means to enforce our existing state laws and county code. They're out there alone and unafraid, folks. I wouldn't want to do it. God bless them for volunteering for that job. So this isn't just an animal issue. This is a public safety issue. When we don't invest in animal services, the entire community feels the impact. Stray and aggressive animals on the streets, longer response times in emergencies, increased risk of disease transmission, including rabies, and the mental and emotional toll on our officers and shelter staff. We need your help. We need an isolation facility. We need additional staff members. We need to compensate our staff properly. We need to educate the public. We need help with enforcement. And most urgently, we must retain Ms. Elaine Smith as our Animal Services Director. So thank you for your time, and thank you for standing for those who cannot stand for themselves.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Clerk, please call the next speaker.
Charlotte Davis.
I'm Charlotte Davis, reside at 717 Shopton Court in Fayetteville. I am currently the chairperson of the Animal Services Board. The board members were informed last week that the Animal Services Director, Elaine Smith, had resigned. We, of course, had a lot of questions. Ms. Smith answered our questions and addressed her concerns. The Cumberland County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 3, Article 1, Section 3-4, Item 4 states, upon coordination with the Animal Services Director, the board is to make recommendations to the Board of Commissioners or the Fayetteville City Council as appropriate for the betterment of the county's animal services program. When answering our questions regarding her resignation, we were made aware of several things that I feel need to be brought to the attention and recommend that you take to your attention and recommend that you take action. Some of these items have already been addressed by the other ladies. I'm going to address them the same way. You have each been sent emails and will soon be receiving letters addressing these concerns. Due to time constraints, I'll only address a couple of these concerns. First, the isolation building, which was approved in the budget last year, has not been addressed. It has, to date, no action has been taken to begin construction of the facility. Because of the volume of animals that enter the shelter, the entire shelter population is at risk when an animal comes in with an infectious disease. Animals are dying needlessly, and we need the building. We need it now. Secondly, county ordinances and the Animal Service Mission Statement mandate the enforcement of state laws and county ordinances regarding animals. However, Animal Services have not been given the tools or the ability to accomplish this. There needs to be a positive working relationship between Animal Services and the city and county law enforcement. My third item, the pay disparity between the Animal Services officers and the code enforcement officers needs to be addressed. The Animal Services officer's job is more dangerous, more demanding physically and mentally, and offers a much less desirable schedule. The officers are working weekends, holidays, on-call nights, and work during emergencies or adverse weather. They often deal with hostile owners. The animal services officers need to be considered as valuable employees and compensated accordingly. There are often many calls coming in for the limited number of officers to respond to those calls. More officers need to be hired and retained. Citizens don't want to hear, "We'll get to it when we can." I recommend that these items I pointed out and the others in your email or letter be addressed soon. Additionally, I would ask each of you to make the time to visit the shelter and spend time observing what a day is actually like for the dedicated employees. I also recommend that you do a ride-along with one of the officers and see what their day is like. Finally, I'd like to address the recent resignation of the Animal Services Director.
Ma'am,
Elaine Smith.
can you're over your time. If you can,
Okay.
I'll just let you finish
Okay.
your statement, ma'am. I've been trying to be lenient tonight,
I
but
know.
if you can finish your statement.
Okay. I just would like you to reconsider and retain Elaine as our director. Her experience is beyond anything you'll find anywhere else in her expertise.
Thank you, ma'am.
for your time.
Thank you for coming. Madam Clerk, will you call the next speaker?
Chileko Hurst.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, commissioners, and the public. I come before you to first, again, thank you for interceding on this city's behalf of addressing the need of the plight of the homeless due to irregular things that was irregular with the previous captain of the Salvation Army. And what I'm asking you, as you've seen, is the weather stipulates fast action on this issue, because we have an increasement of individuals that are been homeless, almost 40 days now, give or go. And I don't know what's in your budget for the county commissioners. I don't know if you have it in your budget to give these individuals vouchers. This is a cause that's near and dear to me, because I've been on the front line, whether it's feeding or giving these individuals out of my own pocket opportunities to earn a living. And every one of you, I know most of you, know I'm nowhere near a rich man, but I do what I can, Don't have much, but I try to do much. That's what I live and die by. The second thing, other than the homeless plight, that I'd like to speak upon is Fayetteville supposed to be allegedly America's city. With the plight that we have between the homeless and the influx of crime that we've had due to economic measures beyond our control, we had an individual at our military installation recently speaking that we know is derelict in his duty. And the amount of military that we have in this town, right here in Fayetteville within the last 2 years, there was a hate crime here in front of Enterprise on Skybo. Black military vet got murdered right there on his motorcycle. All these military members in this town, no one showed up at that courthouse other than 2 military members to support that family. I was there every day for that trial. Hate crime right here. You ain't got to look at Atlanta, you ain't got to look at Cleveland, you ain't got to look at New York. That family received no support in this military town. 2 members. We have law enforcement in other states. I don't know what's going on with North Carolina, but Virginia, the governor just spoke out against the plight of our Latino brothers and sisters. Recently, I believe ICE went into either the chicken plant or the hog plant in Cumberland County. That must cease, using them to suppress our Latino brothers and sisters. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Mr. Hurst, before you leave, can you give us your address as well, sir?
230 Wayside Drive. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you call the next speaker?
There are no more speakers.
All right. At this time, we'll go ahead and close the public comment period, and we will move forward to item 1, approval of the agenda. County Manager Greer, any changes for the agenda?
Yes, Chairman Deviere, there are changes to the agenda. First, consent item 2K, approval of contract for employee childcare center operator will be moved to an item of business, and it would be item 4B. Additionally, item 2N, approval of the budget ordinance amendments for the June 16, 2025 Board of Commissioners agenda. We have an addendum for 2N that was provided at your desk for the Department of Social Services Budget Ordinance Amendment B250398 to recognize grant funds from North Carolina Council for Women and Youth Involvement Program in the amount of $10,772. We'd like to just add that as an amendment and keep item 2N as a consent item. Then we have item 4C that would need to be added as an item of business. No, 4B. No, 4C that would be needed added as an item of business from County Attorney Rick Moorfield, consideration of a contract for the Crown Coliseum Hospitality and Lobby Renovation Project and the associated budget revision BR 250343. Lastly, item 4D, add a resolution for the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners to adopt new ordinance regulation regulating explosive on fire ranges and to amend Article 9 Firearms Regulations in Chapter 9.5 of the Cumberland County Code. And lastly, we need to, on items of business, we need to remove item 4A, consideration of funding contract with NC History Center Foundation. And then we need to add a closed session under GS 143-318-11A, paragraph 6. Those are all the changes to the agenda, Chairman.
Paragraph 6 is for
personnel.
Any other changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion that contains the adjusted agenda as presented by the county manager. Madam Vice Chair?
Motion to approve the agenda that's contained by the adjustments made by the county manager.
Is there a second? We've got a motion and a second to approve the agenda as adjusted by the county manager. So we will add item 4B, 4C, 4D as items of business. We will pull item 4A will be removed, and we will take the additional items on the consent agenda for 2K and, for 2N and add the addendum in as part of the budget ordinance. Is there any questions on that motion or the changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll ask for your vote. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Voting in favor, Commissioner Tyson, Commissioner Council, Vice Chairwoman Jones, Chairman Deviere, Commissioner Patel, and Commissioner Adams. Voting in opposition, Commissioner Fairclough.
We'll go ahead and move forward to the consent agenda. Commissioners, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Madam Vice Chair,
Yes, motion to approve the consent agenda.
is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented and modified. It's been properly seconded. Are there any questions or discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll ask for your vote. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
We'll go ahead and move to item 3. Public hearings. I will call on the county manager. County manager, I know I'm glad to read the board rules if they want to post them, unless you want to go ahead and read the rules and procedures for public hearings.
I got it. Arguments by the proponents and opponents should be limited to a maximum of 10 minutes per each side. If there's no group representative, each speaker shall be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes until the 10-minute time period is attained. Rebuttals will only be permitted at the discretion of the chairman, with a maximum of 1 3-minute presentation by each side. And tonight we have 4 public hearings. Rawls Howard, Director of Planning and Inspection, will present each one.
We'll go ahead and move forward with rezoning case, item A, case ZON 250008.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
All right, so as stated, the first case that we're going to hear tonight is case ZON 25-0008. You can see the case by the location map is highlighted. It's just south of Fayetteville, as you can see. Let me see if I can. All right, I am pushing the button. Not holding my mouth right, apparently. Do what? Okay. Maybe it's just needs time to think. All right. Thank you. So, as stated, this is case 250008. You can see by the highlighted star, this is more just in the just south of the city of Fayetteville city limit lines. You can see by the star. The applicant and the owner is Wayne Chestnut and Lydia Coachman. The request is to go from C1P and R6A to C2P, CZ, which is a conditional zoning. It's more of a medium-density type of commercial designation. The intent is for a contractor, storage yard, and business on Cumberland Road. So for those of you that might be familiar with the geography of this area, this is Ireland Drive. Let's see here if I can get the pointer here. This is Ireland Drive. That for those of you that know is a main connector throughway that goes through the city that connects this side of town to over by the hospital. But the highlighted portion is this little red crosshatch section that you can see here. This is Cumberland Road, and then of course the intersection with Ireland is sitting right here. And I'll show you a zoning map in a minute with some coloration that'll highlight that a little bit better. The subject property is surrounded pretty much with a hodgepodge of residential and commercial. For those of you that have traveled down this road, this is a transitioning area. It's probably fair to say you see a lot of transitioning from these types of uses to these small types of commercial uses. Again, this is the zoning map. So a lot of this area that sits to the rear of this is R6A, which is a denser type of single-family residential area. But you can see it's split zoned of the C1P and then the R6A in the purple coloration here. The property is currently vacant. It's wooded. It does sit between 2 other types of uses, which are sort of blends of commercial and residential uses. The property to the rear is also vacant and is also heavily wooded, as you can see by the photo. There is no sewer out in this area, but there is a water line that runs along Cumberland Road. This is a PWC line. There is sewer that sits over here in this. I'm sorry. This is a sewer line that sits over here in this area. You can see here, but largely this area is not served by a sewer line. The Southwest Cumberland plan is the plan that largely governs this area. I would also point out that we also have a Cumberland Road Business Street Plan that was done probably around the 2017 time period. That in addition to the land use plan, it addresses how staff and how the planning board should be looking at when you have commercial requests for this area, how they should be pretty much processed. A lot of it deals with coming in as a conditional zoning. A lot of it is trying to be able to isolate the issues that are associated with not having sewer capacity out here. So staff did look at that, and we did bring the applicant in and actually got them to do a conditional zoning, which is what you're hearing today. I see Commissioner Adams over there who has had these conversations before with us about it. So we worked to be able to put a condition on here to limit the types of zoning that can go on the property and the types of uses. There's a site plan, which I'll show you here in just a minute, with some key conditions that were tied to this. But largely, the request is consistent with the adopted land use plans, both the Cumberland Road Business Plan and the Southwest Cumberland Plan as well. So the designation is for heavy commercial in this area, as you can see by the map. This is the subject property with a new fence that just went up. Again, we try to poke our head through the property so you can see, but it's been cleared. There is a little bit of work that's been going on towards the rear. This is the east view that you can see down Cumberland Road with the site immediately on the left-hand side. Of course, you can see the sign here for the public notification of the hearing. This is looking across the street, some single-family homes, and this is the west view looking down Cumberland Road with the site immediately on the right-hand side. So this is the site plan that we have now. Again, this is going to be more just an open storage yard. There is a proposed 7-car garage that is proposed to go onto a pad that's back here, but largely the plan that we have here is just that it's just going to be a vacant area for storage. We did put some street trees on the outside of the fence that are going to be here that's in accordance with our current code, some understory trees. And some of the key conditions is that it has to be tied to the plan. That the rear yard setback in here through this action would be reduced from the 30 down to about 16 feet in the rear. Staff didn't really have an issue with that, being the fact that the property to the rear of this is largely vacant and it's heavily wooded. There's no houses back there, so staff didn't see an issue with that, and the planning board backed that up. A fence permit is required. They did put a fence up, so when this goes through the permitting process, we will make sure that a fence permit is acquired for that. And it would be a wood stockade fence to provide some visual screening for the rear yard from the nearby homes. And that the driveway has to be of sufficient material and designed to accommodate emergency services vehicles. That's also in addition to the big heavy equipment that would also be coming to and from the site. And that, of course, I just mentioned the trees just a little bit ago. They do have to put street trees out by the street at a minimum of 3. So staff does recommend approval of the request. We did work pretty diligently with the applicant on this, and when we went to the planning board last month, they supported that request by a 7-0 vote. So I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Commissioners, I'll entertain any questions before we move to the public hearing. Commissioner Adams, you're recognized.
Can I ask you,
Yes, sir.
You talked about the pad in the back being able to have vehicles. So even though this is conditional zoning, have we talked about not having vehicles back there? Because if it turns into a junkyard, have we talked about that, the pad in the back?
Well, the pad in the back is actually a foundation for a garage where they're going to be storing cars within the building and doing things within the building.
So they're going to build a garage?
Correct.
Okay, that's, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments before we move to the public hearing? Hearing none. At this time, I will go ahead and open the public hearing and ask, Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
We have no speakers.
Go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, any further questions or comments on this case? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion. Commissioner Patel.
Thank you. In case ZON 250008, I move to approve the rezoning request from R6A Residential District and C1P Plan Local Business District as C2P/ZZ Plan Service and Retail District conditional zoning. The board finds that the request is consistent with the Southwest Cumberland Land Use Plan, which calls for heavy commercial at this location. The request is reasonable and in the public interest as it's compatible to and in harmony with the surrounding land use activities and zoning.
Second. We have a motion on the floor that's been properly seconded to approve the rezoning request that was recommended by staff and the planning board. Are there any discussion or questions on the motion? Hearing none, I will ask for your vote on this motion to approve this rezoning request. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Thank you, and we'll go ahead and move to item B, case ZON 250010. Mr. Howard?
Thank you very much. So as you stated, this is case ZON 25-0010. This area sits just to, pretty much in the central part of the county, as you can see highlighted by the star, just east of Fayetteville and east of the Cape Fear River. The applicant and the owner is Gallberry Run Land and Development LLC and Nicholas Harrell. The request is to go from A1 agricultural to R40 residential. That's our larger single-family zoning district. The intent is just to put some single-family homes on the site for just a little over 16 and a half acres. The site itself, as you can see, this is I-95, and we'll have some more detailed maps here in just a little bit, but you can see this is I-95. This is the Eastover town limit. Rock Hill Road sits here, and then there's a road of Rocky River Road sits just to the south, so it sits at the intersection of these two roads. You can see that it has largely R30 and RR already surrounding in this area. It's sort of a hodgepodge of different types of densities, but it's certainly a transitioning area. As I stated before, there's a lot of vacant land and single-family homes that are around here, as you can see, with the yellow coloration. And I think this zoning map, when it shows the colors, kind of highlights the contrast a little bit better. So you have R30 that sits just to the south, which is a more denser zoning designation. You have RR, which is 20,000 square foot, sizes of lots that sit just to the south. And then you have sort of just sandwiched in between, you have A1, which is 2 acre minimum lot sizes. The property is currently vacant and heavily wooded. There is water out here. There's no available sewer line. There's sewer across I-95 over here in this area, but for the most part, anything that would be built on here would have to go through the process of getting a well and septic permit. No, not well, septic permit. Apologies on that. So this is part of the Eastover area land use plan, which calls for rural density residential. When you look at some of the goals and the objectives that we try to be able to meet with this type of designation is to provide a full range of housing types. Staff thought that since you have A1, R30, and you have these general sort of mixes of different types of densities out there, has certainly met that, and that the associated zoning districts for this type of land use designation are RR, R20, R20A, R30, and R40 and R40A. So staff felt it was compliant with our land use plan. This is the subject property, as you can see, standing on the street. This is on Rock Hill. Just looking south on Rock Hill, you can see the sign for the public notification here. This is the property in question immediately on the left-hand side. This is looking across the street, another heavily wooded area. And this is the north view on Rock Hill Road with this site immediately on the right-hand side. Staff does recommend approval of the request. When we took this to the planning board, they also supported that by a unanimous vote. So if you got any questions, I'll try to answer as well.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions on this case? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers?
We have one speaker, Tim Evans.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, and staff. My name is Tim Evans. I reside at 3187 Gainey Road. This piece is special to the family that we bought it from. It is a dead-end road. We will not access Rock Hill Road for these lots. And the two daughters made me aware that Mac Williams, the late Mac Williams, will be watching over this thing. So I know he's listening tonight. So my two partners are with me. And this is a very, very special piece of land. It's on a gorgeous road in Eastover, so our intent is to buffer these lots. They're all over an acre. They are on water. We have had Mike Aker, the soil scientist with Southeastern, to check it, and we would just like your blessings on this piece. And we do things a little different than most developments. As our planning director can tell you, when we went in, we didn't ask for R20 or R30. We come out of the gate with R40. That was our intent from day one. So we like to do things a little different. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, any other speakers?
There are no more speakers.
We'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Patel, you're recognized.
Thank you. In case ZON 250010, I move to approve the rezoning request from A1 Agricultural District to R40 Residential District. The board finds that this request is consistent with the Eastover Area Land Use Plan, which calls for a rural density residential at this location. The request is reasonable and in the public interest, as it is compatible to and in harmony with the surrounding land use activities and zoning.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the rezoning request. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will entertain your vote on the motion to approve the rezoning request. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
We'll go ahead and move to item C, case ZON 250013. Mr. Howard?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yes, so this case that you're seeing is quite literally right across the street from the one you just heard. So this is in the same location, so I won't get into the star on the map. You guys pretty much know where it is. The same applicant is Galberry Run Land and Development LLC and Nicholas Harrell. The request is to go from A1 agricultural to R30 residential for this piece of property that you see. We just heard, let's see if I can get the arrow. We just heard this one here. This is literally on the other side of I-95 off of Huckleberry Road, and there's a road here I'll show you in just a minute of White Plains Drive here, but it sits right here on the intersection of that for 3.45 acres. So surrounding the property, much like the last one, is largely a transitioning area from vacant wooded land to single-family homes. So as you can see by the zoning, you have RR that sits to the south, you have A1 to the north, R30 across I-95. So again, you have some transitioning of various densities of single-family homes out here, as you can see there. Again, as I stated, it's vacant, but I did want to point out that I-95 is here. So this is White Plains Drive. It's an access road. You wouldn't be able to see it on our maps, but there's a road that just runs parallel to I-95 here that runs along the periphery of the interstate, and then this is Huckleberry Road that you see here that comes and curves around and starts heading south. So that's the property in question. Sorry about that. There is water, similar to the past case we heard. There is water, but there's no active sewer on the site, so they would have to come in for septic permits. It's in the same Eastover area land use plan, which calls for the same rural density residential. And when you look at the comparable or the acceptable districts for this type of land use designations, as I mentioned before, R30, as you can see down at the bottom, is an acceptable district for this area, much like the R40 was in the previous case. So staff felt that the request is consistent with the adopted land use plan. This is the subject property. This is standing at that intersection of White Plains Drive and Huckleberry. This is standing just right there on the corner, as you can see. That's the county vehicle out there doing their work. You can see the sign out there for the public notification, but this is down Huckleberry Road, looking east. This is a south on Huckleberry, looking right across the street. And this is another southern view that goes around the corner on Huckleberry with White Plains Drive heading off to the right there. So staff does recommend approval of the request. The planning board supported that recommendation last month by a 7-0 vote. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer what I can.
Commissioners, any questions before we move to the public hearing? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
We have one speaker, Tim Evans.
Chair, Commissioners, staff, this piece was cut from the subject property when 95 bypassed Cumberland County in the early 70s. It's a very odd piece. We will go there with a good product, but if you look above it and below it, both of those above it is manufactured homes, and the RR below it are stick-built homes. Everything we do is stick-built. We will go there with a good product, nothing like across 95 on the other piece. It is a strange piece of property, but the two sisters said, "You will take that if you buy that." We said, "Yes, ma'am." So that's why we got the little piece across the road. So it's not as desirable, but we will build a good product there, but as he said, it's right on top of 95, and then you have what appears to be a service lane that runs down beside it. So my surveyor has his work cut out on that one. I'll answer any questions if you have any questions. Thank you.
We'll go ahead. Any other speakers, Madam
There are
Clerk?
no other speakers.
We'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, are there any additional questions or comments on this item?
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind,
Commissioner Adams, you recognize?
and I'm not opposed to that, but I would have loved to have left it as a green space for all of those other houses right there, since you did get the piece across the street, but thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. Are there any other questions or comments? Commissioners, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Patel, you recognize?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In case ZON 250013, I move to approve the rezoning request from A1 Agricultural District to R30 Residential District. The board finds that this request is consistent with the Eastover Area Land Use Plan, which calls for rural density residential at this location. The request is reasonable and in the public interest as it is compatible to and in harmony with the surrounding land use activities and zoning.
Second.
And a motion on the floor to approve the rezoning request. It's been properly seconded. Are there any questions or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll entertain your vote on the motion to approve the rezoning request. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
We'll go ahead and move to item D, case ZON 250016. Mr. Howard?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So the final case that we have for this evening is 25-0016. This is actually in the Spring Lake area, as you can see up toward the Harnett County line, as you can see highlighted by the red star up on the map. The applicant and owner is a Gregory Spears and Gabriel Sital. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The request is to go from R10 residential and RR rural residential to CP plan commercial. CP is our heaviest commercial designation that we have in our code. The intent is to put a retail commercial center on this in this area, which I'll go over here in just a minute, for just about 4.3 acres. So it's highlighted. For those of you that know Lillington Highway, this is Manchester Road.
Excuse me.
You see, this is the intersection that sits here. It's these parcels that you see highlighted in question. So it would basically be taking those, aggregating them, putting them under one zoning, and then building a commercial center on the property. Hodgepodge of stuff going out here on the highway. You do have some single family. You have a borrow pit that's is not really a borrow pit anymore. It's more or less a lake that sits here to the rear, but you do have some commercial and some single family, and you have a church that sits right at the intersection of Manchester Road. So the coloration of the map, you can see a little bit more starkly. You have C1P, which is our light designation. You have C2P as our medium commercial designation. And then you have, so just a mix of different types of residential and commercial, but it's certainly a transitioning area, and it sits on a very heavily traveled highway. So commercial out here pretty much is called for out of our plans. This, as you can see, is there's two structures on the property now. The third property here to the south is vacant. You can see the borrow pit that sits here to the rear, or the vacated borrow pit that sits here to the rear. This is a small engine repair shop that sits at the corner of Manchester Road, and then some various other commercial enterprises that sit out there. There's a water line, but there's no sewer out here, so any type of commercial activity would have to be somewhat light, or there would have to be sewer pulled from Spring Lake out to this area. But there's a water line that sits out here, so they would have the ability to be able to tie into water. The Spring Lake area plan, I sort of just want to go over this and I hope I'm clear, the map itself is not consistent, but when you look at the Spring Lake Plan policies, it does say that when you're putting commercial next to fringes of like some residential areas, and especially along 210, where you have some medium and high density residential is called for, it does support it by the policies, but staff felt like that we wanted to make sure that by this action of the board, if you do approve it tonight, it would simply just be changing the map. So for that particular type of circumstance, we did feel like it was not consistent with the plan just by the map itself, but it did have policies in there that did support the action and did support the request. So this is the subject property. So you can see currently it's a single-family home. This is the south view looking along Lillington Highway with the property on the left-hand side. You can see vaguely the little public notification sign sitting right there next to the cars. This is the west view, which is looking right across the street. That's the small engine repair shop I was telling you about earlier. And this is the north view on Lillington Highway with the site immediately on the right-hand side with the sign in the front yard. Staff did recommend approval of the request. Planning board also supported that by a 7-0 vote when we took this to the meeting last month. So I will try to entertain any questions if you have it. And this would be a three-part recommendation vote if you do decide to approve it. That would change the map automatically.
Commissioners, any questions on this case before we open the public hearing? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
There are no speakers.
Go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, any further questions or discussion on this case? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Patel, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In case ZON 250016, I move to approve the rezoning request from R10 Residential District and RR Rural Residential District to CP Planned Commercial District, and find that 1, approval is an amendment to the adopted current Spring Lake area land use plan, and that the Board of Commissioners should not require any additional request or application for amendment to said map for this request. 2, the subject properties are located at the intersection of 2 major arterial roadways with commercial zoning existing across the street and nearby. 3, the Spring Lake area land use plan policies support commercial zoning for smaller parcels along NC 210 and along fringes of residential areas. The board finds that the request is reasonable and in the public interest as is compatible to and in harmony with the surrounding land use activities and zoning.
Second. Got a motion on the floor to approve the rezoning request with 3 points. Has been properly seconded. Is there any discussion or questions on the motion? Hearing none, I will entertain your vote on the motion to approve the rezoning request as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. We'll go ahead and move to item of business number 4. Item 4A has been removed. Item 2B, approval of contract for employee child care center operator. County Manager Greer, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Faith Phillips, Assistant County Manager, will present this item and discuss the selection of our new child care center operator. And I'll turn it over to Faith.
Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So before you this evening in your packet for approval is a 1-year contract with Chapman's Management Company effective July 1 to be the operator for our Cumberland County Employee Child Care Center. So a little bit of backstory. On May 2nd, 2025, an RFP for a new child care center operator was reissued for the Cumberland County Employee Child Care Center. When we sent this RFP out, it was emailed to every licensed child care provider in our county, as well as advertised by normal means when we do RFPs. 4 responses were received for this RFP. A panel of 7 management staff reviewed and scored the proposals according to the rubric presented within the RFP. This rubric looked at the ability to get an NCDCE 3 to 5-star license, knowledge of the county, the ability of and our values, the ability to provide care, and the knowledge and qualifications of the provider. Based on these scores, the top 3 respondents were invited to an in-person interview with the panel, which consisted of a brief presentation by the applicant and an open and question and answer session. Out of 100 possible points of scores, the 3 top scored proposals all were between 81 and 84, right there together. The 4th proposal, which was provided by Focus Point Learning Academy, had the lowest rating in the rubric, which was 67 out of 100. One of the main issues for this lower rating was that the rate increase proposed for the children was almost double, if not more, of what folks were already paying. The 3 that were selected, Owls Academy, Rose Angel Academy, and Chapman's Management Company, were brought in for interviews conducted by the same panel members that reviewed the RFPs. As I mentioned, it was a brief opportunity for the possible vendor to present their skills, their qualifications, their experience, and then informal questions and answers based on the RFP. We had also looked at the NCDCE reports for existing centers prior to the interviews and asked questions of each person and each candidate in the interview of any things we found in the NCDE reports that made us had questions. So during scoring and the interviews, we emphasized, like I said, the rubric provided. Things included the ability of the provider to get and maintain a 3 to 5-star NCDCDEE license, the ability to accept childcare subsidy from DSS, as well as our military childcare aware subsidy. We also considered continuity of care for our children and our parents that are enrolled. We know that a transition of provider could be very disruptive for the students and their families, so we wanted to take that into consideration as well. So during the interview process, there were questions arose regarding statements by Rose Angel staff, particularly regarding the operation of a facility by a family member who was not authorized per NCDCDE to run a child care facility. Additionally, Rose Angel staff said during the interview and in the RFP that the pickup time for our center would be no later than 5:30 p.m. with a late pickup fee of $5 a minute. This, of course, was a concern with some staff who were scheduled until 5:30 or 6 or later. When we went through the interview with Owls Academy Childcare, there was concerns because there are currently no children enrolled in that childcare facility. When we asked the provider from Owls, they stated that this was due to prepare for the RFP. There were 3 references that were provided by this provider in their packet, but upon further inspection, 2 of the references had the same name. Those are a few of the concerns we had with that provider. So after careful deliberation, we recommend Chapman's Management Company as the child care operator due to Chapman's scores and interview. And some of the things in the interview and in the proposal that stood out for us. One is that Chapman is in step 3 of 5 of the progress for national accreditation with the National Association for the Education of Young Children, which will equate to a possible 5-star NCDCDEE license. Chapman's has experience with the execution of federal, state, and local government contracts, and Chapman's had a plan for continuity of care, utilizing and wanting to retain any staff who are currently there and beloved by our families and our children to work in the facility, so it would have a continuity of care and less stress on the children. Let's see. During this process as well, I maintained communication with NCDCEE division staff and licensing, as well as the NCDCE attorney in the Attorney General's office, and that is a long acronym. During this process, we spoke about the different providers, and specifically, if we selected and moved forward with Chapman's, would there be any concern for a transfer of license? Anything that was in the NCDCE history of Chapman's that would be any concern? I have verification from the attorney in the AG's office from NCDCE that there were no concerns regarding a potential transfer of license from our current facility. Now, from my understanding, what does a transfer of license means? It means that our current provider and NCDCE are ready and willing to sit down, and it will be a more continuity of care and a quicker process to ensure that we do not have any issues with our facility and continue providing care. NCDCE is ready, if approved with Chapman's, to begin that transfer tomorrow. So with that, let's see where we're going. Oh, another thing with Chapman's Management Company, they are excited about the possibility of working closely with other agencies in the community, namely conversations with Fayetteville State University and their 5-star childcare center there. The staff there are ready and willing to collaborate with us for training and resource sharing and staff as well. So a provision of the contract in your packet, just for your awareness, is that Mr. Chapman would achieve the national accreditation during the 1-year time period. So as I mentioned, NCDCE is ready to begin transfer of license with our new provider tomorrow, and then we would have an effective of July 1st for a transfer. And just for your awareness, our current provider, she submitted her 60-day notice of intent to terminate her contract May the 8th, so she will no longer be our provider as of July the 5th. So this would ensure that we have continuity of care. And I'll try to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, questions? I will entertain a question from Commissioner Tyson. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Phelps, thank you for that thorough briefing. And I'm going to ask you just kind of a candid question.
Sure.
So you're a mother.
Yes.
And you've reviewed kind of the information presented. Based on the information that you know about this provider, would you have any issue if we selected this provider placing your children in their care based upon what you know tonight?
No, sir, I would not.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Tyson. Vice Chairwoman Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've received some information, not saying it's negative or positive. Again, I just am someone, as you know, I serve on the Social Service Board, and as we all want to keep children safe.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have children myself, but that's my main goal, as I'm sure it is for everyone else's. And I know that the importance of reviewing all information. So I do appreciate the information that you have provided. And other information has came in regards to this, and as we know, this is a very imperative and important decision to make. And so being that I've received information in regards to all of the facilities and whatnot, and again, not saying negative or positive, but we know the importance of social services, we know the importance of all agencies. We work together as a village, and it would be due diligence, negligent on my part, out of fairness and even the other commissioners to not review information that just came in at 7:30. So I guess I'm just trying to find out or details from maybe the attorney or the county manager. With situations like that, I would like to discuss. I've gotten information basically that came in for all commissioners, but of course we're in the middle of the meeting, and so I think it's important and responsible to review all information before making decisions. I don't know if this is something, and again, you know, HIPAA and all that, to discuss in private. Do I need to discuss this, take a moment, and I guess I could say in closed session, due to the fact, like I said, as you stated, these are all reputable businesses, and all information needs to be discussed, and I don't really feel like openly that might, you know, be, again, no one's accusing anyone of anything, but with matters such as this, sensitive matters, and information, I want to make sure that all information is being reviewed. So get some guidance or direction. Do I need to call for closed session or just table this to give? And I know my other commissioners are very responsible too. We don't want to just rush through information that we just received, and some of them probably haven't even had an opportunity to look at the information.
Mr. Attorney, Attorney Moorfield.
I haven't seen the information either at this point.
And that's why I'm stating, I think I recently, like I said, received it. Do I need to send it to the attorney? And that's what I'm saying. I want the commissioners to be able to look at it as well.
So, Mr. Attorney, I think the question is, to move forward, is this an item that, based on the information that we can discuss in closed session, or we can table the motion? If we table the motion, I need to understand how long we have until we need to have this approved. And if that's the case, then we can recess after our closed session, allow time for the board to review the information, and then come back and ask any questions if that's the proper action.
just based on what Vice Chairwoman Jones says, I would advise not to discuss it in open session at this point. I don't know what it is, but what she says, it sounds like she has concerns about the information.
Okay. What I'd like to do is if we can add attorney-client privilege if it's appropriate, and allow you to read the information. I believe the Vice Chairwoman has read it. If you read it before we go into the closed session and you deem it not appropriate for our discussion in closed session, then we'll allow the commission time to read that, and we'll come back out and take action if required on this item. And Ms. Assistant Manager Phillips, the timeline by which we need to make a decision so we don't hinder the contract or hinder the operations?
Yes, Chairman. So we would need to have a provider in place. As I mentioned before, the NCDCE is kind of looking for us to have a provider ready for tomorrow so we can start that conversation. Our current provider, their contract is up July the 5th, and there is time for transfer. So I'm afraid that if we don't move forward, we may not have a provider for a child care center after July the 5th.
So, Commissioners, without objection, I'd ask that we move this item to the end of the meeting, allow the attorney time to review the item, see if we can have a conversation in closed session, if we need a closed session. If not, bring it back before the board at the end of the meeting for further discussion and a vote. Is there any objection to that direction? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move forward.
A point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Tyson, you're recognized.
Would we need to make a motion to amend our agenda? If so, I would be amenable to make that motion.
I believe I can move the item to the end of the agenda without objection. So basically, I said without objection, we're doing it. That's a form of a motion. Without any objection from the board, it's so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and move to item 2C, consideration of Crown Coliseum contract. County Manager Greer.
Yes, I'll turn this over to Rick Moorfield.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, 4C.
Well, I'll turn this over to Rick Moorfield, County Attorney.
Chairman and Commissioners, we handed out at the beginning of the meeting, a memorandum from Amanda Lee, the General Manager for Natural Resources, who's filling in also now as our interim county engineer. This is a contract that we just got this morning. I found out about this last week. I don't think Amanda's known about it much before that. But this is this was a project to do renovations of the hospitality rooms, also known as the suites at the Crown Coliseum. And I've seen it referred to as the ballroom renovation, and I'm seeing here it also says lobby, and the information that has the total things that to be done is in the list that started in this contract. And this is not the entire contract. This is the portion that needs to be signed. There's another whole section, and there's a lot of attachments that go with it. But this, we tried to put this together, move this along very quickly last week because this work was supposed to have started, or the plan had been, last Monday out at the Crown. And OVG has not booked the areas of the Coliseum that couldn't book them while this work was being done. And it's in talking with Seth Benall, the general manager, he asked if there was any way we could move this forward. Please do so, because this has been going on, he said, for about 3 years, not this contract, but this trying to get this project done. And what you have is a contract from, just a little background, the Board of Commissioners accepted the bid for this project June the 17th of last year. And we got a final contract this morning. So that's where it's at. The bid award that the board accepted was in round numbers, 1.8 million. You have also with you, and that was one of the things that took some time in the last couple of weeks for the folks that were working on this, they wanted to submit this just as the contract and come back later for a change order, and we just wouldn't do that. And that change order is attached, is the, supposed to be attached. It's not in one I've got. It is not in the version I have, but I know it is here. It's the first document after the, remember, you have it. Yeah, that's it. And it's been signed, it's been recommended by the architect, which is his responsibility under the terms of the contract. And it spells out the changes in the contract. It increases the price from 1.8 million to 1.998 million. The exact numbers shown on there, $170,046. And this contract and change order was reviewed by my office today, and it will be approved for legal sufficiency. We just didn't have a stamp on it to get it all together when it's coming down here with it. But, legal doesn't have any problem with it. There's also a budget amendment in the package of materials that's with the memo you have. That was quickly put together by Ms. Lee, working with Ms. Shaw also today. And if you see, it says it starts off with Solid Waste Management and Public Utilities Department. It's their letterhead, but the actual revision portion is down at the bottom. It explains what the increases are and what the revenue is. The $275,000 OVG reimbursement, OVG's contract requires them to make certain or invest certain amounts in the costs or in the Crown Complex for capital improvements that will enhance the ability to make revenue. This is what that money is. It was not something that was contemplated by the contract they have in place, but it was they thought a good use of it. And they have already transferred that money to the county to be used for this purpose. But it's $75,000 left over from a previous project, and then $200,000 in their current project that they just had not allocated yet. So that's where they've got that money. And with that, it's my understanding from the finance folks and Ms. Lee that there is funds, the project with this work will be fully funded with those funds. I'll answer any questions the best I can. Ms. Lee might answer more, but that's kind of a lowdown of what's happened in a very short time.
Commissioners, I'll entertain questions. Commissioner Tyson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Attorney, I'm looking at the memorandum that you had referenced from Ms. Lee, dated June 16th, that kind of has the labor material increase since bid discussion. And I'm just trying to understand, it has a OVG reimbursement as well. So if I take those two numbers together, the 132,871 and the 37,175, you're saying that's what's coming out of the capital outlay portion that the county pays, and then the 275 would be over and above that would go back towards the base contract, or would still go back towards the overages?
I believe the 170,000 is the amount of the entire change order, and the county had only funded the original. I'm sorry.
County Manager recognized.
Yes, OVG has a pot of money. It's around $275,000 to $300,000 they have reserved to provide for capital. The base amount of the contract is being funded by the county. The change order / overage is being funded by OVG. And what will happen is that we will have to budget those funds from OVG as a reimbursement to the project.
I got you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners, other questions? A couple quick questions from the chair, Mr. Moorfield. The contract was originally received, looking at this document, there's a March 13th.
Yes,
So the contract was originally received in March.
yes.
It hasn't been actioned on until June.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. And the original authorization, June 17th, 2024, is part of the Crown CIP?
Yes.
Okay. For 1.8, roughly, 1.82?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, and it's one of those items that if we don't start, we have to reappropriate and bring to you all every year.
And my understanding is this is the OVG has prepared for this, so they have not, and they've informed everybody, so they're not using this space right now. So if we don't move, if we don't take action, then it's going to hinder their operations.
Correct.
I think they've blocked it, he said until mid-September. The final date on this contract is September the 12th.
It's bad weather.
Just a flash
So
flood.
flash flood warning.
Flood warning.
In effect till 11:30. Go ahead, Mr. Moorfield, anything else?
I mean, the contract was done to accommodate the schedule that Mr. Bernal was wanting to set up. And he can't fix that now. He can't go back and book stuff now, so.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will look to you for action. Commissioner Tyson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that the board execute the contract and contract change order 1, subject to the contractor's submission of a bond rider to include the change order, and that we approve the associated budget revision number 250434.
Second.
We've got a motion to approve and execute the contract and contract change order number 1. It's been seconded. Any questions on the motion to approve the contract and change order for the Crown Coliseum Hospitality and Lobby Renovation Project? Hearing none, I'll entertain your vote in the affirmative by raising your right hand. All in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you, Commissioners. We'll go ahead and move to item 4D. Second reading of ordinance regulating explosives on fire ranges and amendment to section 9.5-100A2 firearms regulations. County Manager Greer.
Yes, this is Rick Moorfield, County Attorney, will present this item, answer any questions you may have.
This is actually the third time the board has seen this, and there's no changes since the last 2 times the board saw it. It is the proposed ordinance to regulate the use of exploding targets on shooting ranges, firing ranges. And we've gone over all that in there before. It was reviewed by the sheriff's office, and they recommended it as the penalties and stuff were changed to accommodate the sheriff's recommendations. The existing ordinance that the use of explosive targets exploding targets is a standalone new ordinance. The resolution also includes a change to section 9.5-100A2 of the existing Cumberland County Code, which is a regulation of firearms. And all it does is change the distance from which a person shooting, if they cannot shoot a weapon that will cause the missile discharge to strike within, it's been moved from 200 to 225 yards of a dwelling unit, house, trailer, or building in which is not his own without the consent of the occupant. So it's adds 25 yards to an existing regulation that is there for public safety.
Commissioners, this item has been in front of you twice. Entertain any questions or comments on this item? Commissioner Adams, you're,
Yeah, I did, it was already lit, but yes, I did.
you're recognized.
And, Mr. Turnout, you know, it's 200 to 225. What's the rationale? Why 25 yards? I mean, that, it's such an odd to go from 200 to 225. I'm just trying to figure out why that, just 25 yards.
That was a recommendation from the policy committee.
And what was the rationale? You were at the policy committee. I'm just trying to figure out if you're going to do it, 25 yards, it seems as though we're trying to look at one particular thing or whatever. If you want to be able to stop this, you would do it at a much greater distance than that. That's just it's an arbitrary number that looks like got pulled out the air.
Well,
That's
two-
all.
you know, it's, you know, put it in the context of, 200 yards is 2/3 of the football field already. So, yeah, so you're adding 25 more yards to that.
Commissioner Adams, anything else?
Nothing else.
Any other questions, commissioners? Hearing none, we have Ms. Council has left.
She's going to the restroom.
She asked for a recess.
She did.
All right. Commissioners, I at this time entertain a motion. Vice Chairman Jones.
Make a motion to adopt the resolution adopting ordinance regulating explosives on fire ranges and to amend Section 9.5-100A to firearms regulations.
Second.
We've got a motion to adopt the resolution adopting the ordinance regulating explosives on fire ranges and to amend Section 9.5. It's been properly seconded. We don't have all members here. I'm going to take a brief recess. Can I do that while I've got a motion on the table? I can't recess while there's a motion on the table. So at this time, we'll stand at ease and await Commissioner to come back. We're not at recess because we have an active, Commissioners, I'll remind you, we have an active motion on the table. So I'd ask you to hold your positions unless we can take a recess if people need to use the restroom here in just a few minutes when Ms. Council gets back. I'd ask you, go ahead, just be brief.
Commissioner, can I just the area is cold in here?
I think we need to, if we can, adjust the air
Thank you.
up
Appreciate it.
to make it warmer, yes, please. While we're standing at ease.
Right after this, she would get she was munching. She got me something too. I think Mr. Tyson got it.
I'm sorry.
You're fine, ma'am. And the board will go ahead and come back to order. At this time, there's a motion on the floor, motion on the floor to adopt the resolution adopting the ordinance regulating explosives on fire ranges and amend Section 9.5, 100A2 firearms regulations. It's been properly seconded. Any further discussion or comments on this motion?
I got a thing.
Okay. Got a question,
Yes, ma'am.
but go ahead, I'll ask afterwards. I'll be okay.
Okay. Hearing no further questions or comments on the motion, I'd ask for your vote on the motion to adopt the resolution, adopting the ordinance and amending Section 9.5100A2 of the Firearms Regulation. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Manager, okay with that? Okay with that?
Voting in favor, Commissioner Council, Vice Chairman Jones, Chairman Deviere, Commissioner Patel, and Commissioner Fairclough. Voting in opposition, Commissioner Tyson and Commissioner Adams.
We will go ahead and move to item 5, nominations. There are no nominations for this meeting. We'll go ahead and move to item 6, appointments. 6A, Equalization and Review Board vacancy. Madam Clerk, do you want to address the issue, or would you like me to read through it?
In April, the board voted to appoint Tracy Henderson to the Equalization Review Board, but she was recently appointed as a judge and has stepped down from this position. And due to the tax revaluation appeals, they need a full board, and they've asked for the board to do an exception of policy and make a nomination and appointment tonight. They recommend Marva Lucas Moore. Marva Lucas Moore.
That's, what's your chick's daughter?
Are there any questions on the information provided? I understand that we will need to have an exception to policy.
Yes.
And but is there any discussion on the information provided by the clerk? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. Vice Chairman Jones.
Yes, I make a motion to allow exception to policy with the nomination and appointment process to nominate and appoint in the same meeting for that appointment of Marva Lucas to the Board of Equalization and Review.
Second the motion.
There's a motion on the floor to allow the exception to policy for the nomination and appointment process to happen in the same meeting and to nominate and appoint Marva Lucas to the Board of Equalization and Review. It's been properly seconded. Are there any comments or discussion on the motion? Commissioner Adams, you're recognized.
Just for, I think, the boards, because it is something they have to move quickly on, I think she was previously on the board and comes with that already, and won't have to get up, they won't have to do an orientation or anything. She already knows that. So I would be in favor of that, just for the board's information that she's been a previous board member, so that helps them toward this process.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. Any other comments or questions on the motion that's on the floor? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and I'll ask for your vote on the motion to the exception of policy for the nomination appointment happened in the same meeting and to nominate and appoint Marva Lucas to the Board of Equalization and Review. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
We'll go ahead and recess the Board of Commissioners meeting. I'll go ahead and convene the Norcrest Water and Sewer Governing Board.
Excuse me.
We have one item in front of us for this board. Item A, approval of services agreement for asset management and financial plan for Norcrest. County Manager Greer.
Yes, Chairman Deviere, we approve this in consent under item 2S. Approval of the service agreement is with Freeze and Nickel for a financial plan and asset management software not to exceed $400,000.
Are there any questions or comments for County Manager Greer? Hearing none, Commissioner Tyson, I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that we approve the service agreement with Frise and Nichols Incorporated in the amount of $400,000, and we authorize the chairman to execute the attached contract that has been audited and determined to be legally sufficient.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion to approve the service contract and allow the chairman to execute the contract. It's been audited and determined legally sufficient. Are there any other comments on this motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for your vote. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Without objection, I'll adjourn the Norcrest Water and Sewer District Governing Board meeting. I'll go ahead and reconvene the Board of Commission meeting, and I will move to item 8, closed session, and entertain a motion from Vice Chairwoman Jones.
Motion to go into closed session? Second.
And that statute is for
Yeah,
personnel
I got
reasons.
it.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Closed session for attorney-client I'm sorry.
It's for personnel.
Personnel. Motion to go into closed session for attorney-client matter pursuant to NCGS 143.318.11A3 and for personnel action pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A4.
Is there a second?
Second.
So we have, the motion is to go into closed session for personnel action, as well as, if needed, attorney-client privilege, if we need to recognize that. Yes, Commissioner Faircloth, you recognize for a question?
Could we have clarification on the statute, please?
Is it 6? 6 is personnel, 3 is attorney-client.
Okay. And she said 3.
My apologies, it was
Subsection
3 and 6.
3 and 6.
I wrote it wrong. So the motion is to move to closed session attorney-client privilege pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 and for personnel action pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A6. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll ask for your vote. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
And we're in closed session. And at this time, I will entertain a motion from Vice Chairwoman Jones.
Motion to come out of closed session.
Second.
Second.
There's a motion to come out of closed session for attorney-client privileges pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 31811A3, and for personnel action pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 31811A6. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will ask for your vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. The motion carries, and there's no action to be taken from the closed session items or discussion. At this time, we will move back to, it was item 2K that was moved to off the consent and to the end of the meeting. And this time, Board, I'll look to you for action. Commissioner Tyson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that we recommend approval for and direct the county manager to sign the contract with Chapman's Management Company with an effective date of July 1st, 2025.
Second motion.
There's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded to approve the county manager to sign the contract with Chapman's Management Group with effective date July 1st, 2025. Commissioner Adams, you're recognized for question.
I guess I would ask the assistant county manager, I see that starts July 21st. What happens tomorrow? I mean, you said something, so is,
Yeah, come up to the mic, please.
I know you said they're transferring, so I'm trying to see, always want to make sure.
So is the effective date the right date?
Yes, sir, the effective date would be the right date. So from my understanding, what it is, we begin a process, and it's a process of transfer. And so there are several meetings and processes that have to happen, and so then they would take over and be the effective provider on the date, the July 1 of the contract.
So they'd have the license for the daycare. I understand, okay, so just like all the rest of them, you got to move it over to the new provider.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So tomorrow, what we would do is we would start those conversations.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments or questions, commissioners, on the motion on the table? Again, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain your vote, or I'll ask for your vote on the motion to approve the county manager to sign the contract with Chapman's Management Group with an effective date July 1st, 2025. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Voting in favor, Commissioner Tyson, Commissioner Council, Chairman Deviere, Commissioner Patel, Commissioner Faircloth, and Commissioner Adams. Voting in opposition, Vice Chairwoman Jones.
Commissioners, seeing no other business to come before this board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Vice Chairwoman Jones.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to adjourn. It's been properly seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
And we're adjourned.